today's discussion is learn how to claim and embrace ownership of you and your journey. As you know, we climb through the hills and we deal with the valleys in life. It's all about empowerment, which is the process of becoming stronger, becoming more confident, and becoming in control of your life and claiming one's rights that you have in this world. That says, okay, you can get up from where you are, or you can move forward into a different situation. Which is about claiming ownership of you and your journey. It's about time. Are we using our time to the best of the abilities that we could do? With our power. So we look at the time. We're looking at past experiences can affect our current mindset and our choices. So nothing just happens in a vacuum. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that have happened. And as you know, with the Black community, there's just a lot of stuff that has happened. So in the past, the federal legislation had sort of talked about us, and they've identified 3 distinct races: the Indigenous people, white people, and everybody else. Who's everybody else? I mean, it's such a weird concept. But in 1975, Kay Livingstone, who was the founder of the Canadian Negro Women's Association, she termed the phrase visible minority. So 1975, she looked at it. She said, you know what? This is a time where there's so many Caucasian white Canadians, and then all of these other groupings were coming from different places, we're coming from different countries, we're coming from different islands. How can we put us all together? She termed the coin visible minorities. Now, as we've moved forward, there's everybody's like, what? And so now the term has been coined BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And the term again has moved forward, and now we're racialized individuals. Now, the reason why I brought this up is everything is evolving. And the evolution of what we've been named, how we've been termed, how we've been viewed should not be our focus. Our focus is not about us versus them. It's not about fitting into any kind of a nomenclature that somebody has put on us. It's really about, okay, you know what? We know that there's concerns and challenges with the Black community. Let's not focus on the naming so much as focusing on our identity with who we are and how we can move forward as a community. So the past is there. It's really bringing us forward into our present. And in the present, I'm saying embrace ownership of you. So we're not throwing things out, but at the same time, we don't always need to be putting ourselves in the identification where somebody else is naming our situation. And that's why I'm saying it's not an us versus them. It's not always going to be a white versus Black, because it's debilitating to put other people at the center of our standards, right? Of our discussions. Skin color is not always going to be a useful explanation for performance, and therefore we can't have that be the determining factor as we move forward. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, listen, forget all the naming. These are the concerns and the challenges of the various groups of individuals, and we need to be at the center so we identify ourselves with the gaps and feeding the information into the labor market, into the employment market. It's more than just the racialized situation. We're in a community where maybe, okay, we're in a community where everybody from here does not know X. And therefore that is even much more debilitating rather than just looking at the color. So we want to be able to take ownership of what's our real situation and how can we inform the overall framework and the overall organization of where we live. So that brings us into the future. And as I said, as we claim ownership of our journey, we'll be able to inform those studies. We need to be sitting at those tables. We need to be presenting our information into the survey so that the gap analysis are from our perspectives, right? It's not only about these things that have happened, and as we claim ownership of our journey, we recognize, okay, I'm in this situation, but it's not going to define who I am. So what we want to do is we want to really focus our attention on claiming ownership of us, our journey, and how we can move forward from learning what has happened before and moving forward to the insight, gaining insight from other people's experiences, how we have moved from the past to now where we are now, and to moving into advance to next and to better. As we do that, we have some do's and don'ts. I mean, it's a situation of there's no perfect way of moving forward, but we want to always make sure that as we move forward, we're doing it from a multi-sided lens. The same way that we are a people, we are a group, a community with lots of different facets within us. It's more than just the color, and it's more than just the situations that we're born in. We want to look at everything with a multi-sided lens. We want to take those strategic steps, not just a step, but we want to take a strategic step that we can move forward, and we could try to, minimize situations from happening again. Also the don'ts, don't forfeit the control you have over your life. It's okay if somebody says that is the way that we have to go. We don't need to give control. We can hear and we can listen. We can acknowledge that maybe that is your perspective of where I should move, but not necessarily it's not a panacea of that's the answer. And also, don't move away from your truth. Maybe I like painting, and that is my interest. Maybe I like teaching. That is my interest. So I don't need to be chasing something that everybody says, okay, you need to be a shop clerk. No, I don't. I like teaching. I'm going to look for different ways that I can put my interest into something that's going to fulfill me. We're going to look at some strategic steps. And our strategic steps in terms of time is really looking at the full picture. We want to embrace our past. We know we've had it, we heard it, but we want to embrace our past, accept where we are, and love ourselves enough to know that, okay, we're going to take some steps to move forward. We want to be strategic in terms of moving past the community level, past just putting a stopgap measure with ourselves to drive those studies, to make sure that the studies hear from our amplified voice. It's not enough that you've had a study here or there from 20 years ago. It's not enough that you've decided to name this decade for Black people. The Black people don't end in a decade. So therefore, the same way that as decades move and things are transitioning, the same way our needs transition, the same way our studies transition. So therefore, we need to make sure that are there. And so that's why I said about the policies. We need to make sure that our comments, our concepts, our challenges, our ideas, recommendations, suggestions are at the political level. Because when it's embedded within the framework of the society, then society changes. When it's just on an add-on basis, then people think oh, okay, it's okay, we'll do it. It's not that important. No, it is important. Our concerns are important. Our challenges are important. The ways that we need to go about addressing them is important. And therefore, we need to have it in the law books. Part of where the discussion will come in, this is where we've sort of looked at time at a very high level. What experiences shaped you and your current state of being? Has it been the expectations of others? Have you dealt with those expectations? Maybe your mother said that you have to be a nurse. Maybe you don't want to be a nurse, right? But the expectation is, are you the leader of that family where you're the one that has to make the payment? You're the one that's holding the roof over the head. So now Your expectation is that you can't do what you really want to do because you have all of these people. And where do you want to have the most impact? The impact that you have with the power that you have with your time could be with your siblings, with your children, with your community, with the government. Your impact is where you want to think about, how is it that what my step is going to give me the fulfillment of, like, that's what's going to make an impact, when it's truth, when it's resonated with your strength. And what stands between you and where you want to go? Is it your mindset? Is it the expectations that people have put on you wrongly? Is it your expectations for yourself that you have decided that, no, maybe that's not for me. Maybe I'm not sure how to do that. Or is it your belief that you cannot achieve these things? That next step. We want to connect all of those pieces, things that have happened to us, things that maybe we've done. We want to connect where we are. But tammyservices.com, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Tammy, and I would look forward to connecting with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for this beautiful presentation.